Welcome to a new game. This is Dates and Wires Augmented Edition. I recently got sent a key by the developers of this game. This is not sponsored content. They sent me a key. They didn't request a video. I'm not receiving any money for it, but they very kindly sent me a key for the Augmented Edition, which is available on Steam. I'm told that there's voice acting, there's more scenarios, so I'm excited to see how it will play out this time. I originally played the HIO version in April 2023. You can, I'm so sorry, you can watch that on my channel. Thankfully it's been a while, so I don't quite remember who I went for. Yeah, in case this is your first time meeting or getting to know this game, I won't spoil the little bits and pieces that I still remember. So, let's start. Stradania, sometime 1995. State your first name for the record, please. Oh shit, do I have to write? Because I don't remember. Oh my goodness, sorry. Sounds like the agent's on a short fuse today. I'd better hurry up and answer him. Type your character's name and hit enter. Okay. Perfect. Got our Shane. After 8 hours crammed into... What the hell? Sorry, I really struggle with reading. After 8 hours crammed in ultra economy class, all I really want is a warm shower, a cool drink, and a hot guy to spend the evening with. But first, I have to get through customs, and that means getting the third degree from a scary-looking official with a massive list of questions. Are you entering this country on business or pleasure? Oh, definitely pleasure. I give the customs agent a coy wink. His face scrunches up in response. Guess they don't hire these guys for their sense of humor. Clicking his tongue, he looks back at my paperwork. Are you bringing any of the following items into the country? Radioactive or biohazardous materials, organs for human transplantation, self-aware digital pets, cigarettes containing more than 25 mg of nicotine, counterfeit currency, CD-ROMs or other media harmful to the economic or political welfare of the Stradanian public or the physical, spiritual, and mental health of its citizens. 30 minutes and many, many questions later. And finally, by signing this document, you legally agree to hold the Stradanian government innocent from any injury, loss of life, or property incurred during your stay here. I quickly sign on the line. The agent points to anything to get out of here. When my friends first suggested a vacation here in Stradania, I wasn't sure how to react. You do some weird stuff to get over a bad breakup, sure, but running off to an ex-Soviet republic that 9/10 of the known world won't even recognize as a country? The smart call would have been to find somewhere with warm weather, nice beaches, and most importantly, bottomless rainbow-colored rum drinks. Instead, I'm here in Unilsk, a city whose biggest tourist attractions include a pig iron museum and guided tours through a multi-acre garbage dump, hazmat suits extra. On the upside, the tickets were dirt cheap, and I'm far enough away from home that I don't really have to worry about what others think. Instead, I can focus on the one thing that really matters: me. Relaxing, having fun, remembering how to live a little. And if that means a few no-strings-attached flings with some of the local hunks, all the better. Like my ankle tattoo says, no regrets. So I fire up my translation filters, flag down a cab, and get ready for an unforgettable night on the town. Forget fancy architecture or big historic sites. Every building I see on the drive-in is an almost identical block of depressing concrete that looks like it would collapse in a stiff breeze. That's the point, supposedly. Everything here's so grim, run down, and miserable that your own life feels like a bed of roses by comparison. At least that's what my friends claim, and I'm still not sure this whole setup isn't just one giant, elaborate prank. After stopping by my hotel to check in and stow my luggage, I head out to my first stop of the evening, a club called the Icebox. All the travel guides I've read say it's the biggest and best night spot in town. Not that there was much competition. Word also has it that this is where the city's big Bork scene comes out to play. The kind of hip place where nearly anything can happen after a cocktail or two. The building in front of me now, though, not hip or happening. Between those huge storage tanks and the weird pipes leaking gas everywhere, looks like more like a factory than a club. But there's a decent crowd gathered by the entrance, chatting and sharing oily, smelly cigarettes, and I can hear the faint boom of dance music through the doors. Head on in. The front door is covered by a bouncer, a tough-looking woman with a pitch-black mohawk and an elaborate dragon tattoo wrapped around her left arm. Thankfully, she only gives me a quick once-over before waving me through. Guess you don't really worry too much about IDs here. Pushing through the front doors, I enter the Icebox, ready for my first date of the Unilsk nightlife. Which turns out to be an unexpected blast of cold smacking me in the face as soon as the doors swing open. There's a sharp chill running through the entire club, just a little too intense to be comfortable. Guess that explains the name. Not that anybody else seems to mind, the dance floor is packed with locals and tourists happily swaying away to the pulse of the music. But the temperature is not the only thing that feels off. The walls of the icebox are lined with frosted over glass tanks, all filled up with weird gooey blue liquid. And each tank is a life-size mannequin bobbing around inside it, just barely visible through the blue sludge. Nice as it is to see actual color in Unilsk, if they were aiming for a cool sci-fi vibe, they missed by a mile. The whole setup is just creepy. Did that mannequin just wink at me? I quickly step away and hustle over the bar area, hoping a bit of alcohol will set me straight. I'm greeted by a handsome man in a strange rubbery protective suit. They're really pulling out all the stops with the theming.
Howdy, Pilgrim. What's your pleasure?
Oh, I love it. Glancing over at the drinks menu, I'm confronted by a sea of cocktails with names I've never heard of. Fortunately, the bartender seems to sense my uncertainty.
First time in the icebox?
First time in the country. I just got off the plane a few hours ago. The bartender nods knowingly and reaches for a bottle from below the counter.
Let's get your visit off to a proper start.
Absolutely. He begins mixing the ingredients, half humming to himself as he moves from one bottle to the next. Finally, he slides the glass over to me.
I call this one the login screen. My own recipe. Don't worry, it's on the house.
Ah, thank you. I take the glass and sip. I can't exactly place the flavors, but it's sweet and strong. And before I know it, I've got a good buzz going. I relax a little, checking out the various liquors lined up on the bar shelves, though mainly to stop my attention from drifting back to those freaky tanks. Wait, in the cooler. Is that?
So, what brings you here tonight?
The sudden question jolts me back to here and now. I was hoping to meet some guys, maybe let loose a little.
Well, you came to the right place. Especially since we've banned Vlad from the premises.
Vlad? Who's Vlad? Hold on. My little buddy wants out. Sorry. So, the bartender's expression darkens.
You'll know him when you see him.
Oh.
He tends to sneak in around closing time to creep on desperate foreigners. Don't worry, though. Our crew knows exactly how to handle him.
Okay.
Anyway, looking for any type of man in particular? I might know a few of our regulars who could fit the bill.
Okay. Good question. After all, half of the fun of a vacation fling is trying something new, right? I scan the rest of the club, seeing if anybody catches my eye. Alright, I'm going... Hold on. Okay, I like blonde hair. I nod towards an emaciated blonde sitting off to one side. He's absorbed in a book and has kind of a distant look to him. What, Dan? Fancies himself a bit of a philosopher. Not exactly my idea of a good time, but if you've got a soft spot for lost causes, he's your guy. Oh, who should I ask about? How about the guy with the sunglasses in the far corner? You mean the fixer? Tough customer. He's a totally hopeless snob and really obsessed with tape, but beyond that, nah, probably best to avoid him altogether. The cocky-looking guy with the flowing pink hair? Tell me about pink hair on the other side of the dance floor there. Ah, shit parade. Not a bad guy as such, but he's addicted to getting a rise out of people. Most find him a bit much to handle. Hunted-looking man with the glasses and ponytail. What's up with the intense-looking one with the specs? They call him the Sandman. Kind of a closed book, that one. I know he's some type of hacker, but not much more than that. He's not really the clubbing sort, so I'm guessing he's only here for business. Don't expect too much from him. The buffed-up fashionista in the expensive clothes. Hey, the cut cyborg with the fancy tech wear. What's his story? No cools his handle. Him and his crew show up here about once a week. Takes his fashion a little too seriously, but at least he tips from time to time. The handsome bartender. How about you? Me? I'm just here to keep those drinks coming, and maybe offer a firm shoulder to cry on. Depends how the night goes, really. Oh, come on, that can't be everything, can it? Jack gives me the slightest smirk. Maybe not, but a man's got to keep at least a few secrets for himself. Actually, I think I'm good for now.
Are you sure?
There's a couple of nice guys usually hang around the back. Thanks, but I'm all set. Well, you're the boss.
I'm Jack, by the way. Come back and see me if you need anything.
Okay, the voice acting didn't match the subtitle there. Come see me and come. Oh my lord, I can't read either. Come back and see me if you need a refill or advice. Will do. I'm sorry, my little bird is playing around. After finishing off my login screen, I head back out to the dance floor, ready to mingle. I take a minute to check out the crowd, trying to find my opening. Everyone's talking and laughing in little groups and having a great time by the looks of it. So I move from conversation to conversation, keeping an ear out for one I can casually butt into, but no luck here. It's all football, local politics, or where to score the cheapest hit. Kenway. Então, bebê. O que foi? Sorry. 10 minutes of aimless wandering later, the only thing I've managed to do is make myself feel even more lost and out of place. Maybe I should just cut to the chase and approach one of the guys I was looking at with Jack earlier. But which one? Okay. I'm going with Dan because I like blondes. My eyes are drawn back to the thin blonde man sitting in a corner all by himself, head buried in a book. He looks a little isolated and adrift himself. Seems like he'd know what I'm going through. It's settled then. I take a deep breath and walk over to his table. Hi, mind if I join you? He looks up from his book, bewildered.
Do I know you?
What is this voice? I really like it. No, I'm new here actually. I flew in earlier today and was looking for a fun, wild place to have a drink, and this bar was in all the guides, so...
So you're a trash tourist then.
Wow, okay. Trash? Well, that's a bit rude.
Sorry, it's just that people usually come here looking for horror stories to tell back home, so they show up and pester us just to get a reaction.
I thought you were. Oh no, I'm not here for anything like that. I'm just looking for company. Sorry if I bothered you.
No, it's fine, really. Here, have a seat.
He actually puts the book down and shuffles over to give me more space. I sit down next to the blonde and give him a reassuring smile. He immediately lowers his eyes. Looks like I picked a quiet one, but thanks to Jack's cocktail, I'm more than happy to lead the conversation. I'm Cata Shane, by the way. He cautiously shakes my hand.
Daniel. You can call me Dan, though.
So, Dan, are you here with anyone?
Not really. Well, I came here with a friend because she said she needed help picking something up tonight and wouldn't take no for an answer. 15 minutes after we arrive, she steals some barfly's cyber arm and runs off with it. Now I'm just killing time until she calls me and tells me where to collect her, as usual.
Killing time, huh? What's that you're reading? I look over at this book. The title says, Do It Yourself Detox. As soon as he notices me staring, he... Okay, I don't really know what's up with him, so I'm just gonna put him in my shoulder. As soon as he notices me staring, he stuffs it into his jacket.
It's my friends. So how's the icebox treating you? Having fun?
I can tell he's not much for small talk. Oh, sure, Jack seems nice, and his cocktails all have such fun names. Burnt wires, black ice. Do you have any favorites you'd recommend?
With those price tags, no thanks. You're mostly paying for the funny name, and Jack doesn't even come up with those himself.
So, you're not a fan?
The best way to describe this place is all style, no substance. At least they tolerate Borgs. But now I usually don't come here. Can barely hear yourself think with all this awful club music. Never mind carrying on a real conversation.
So, what's your go-to place?
There's this one called the Abyss Cafe. My friend hates it, so usually I just go there by myself. But there's live music, decent coffee, and unlike here, you can smoke inside without causing an industrial accident. Someone I know is playing tonight too.
Sounds like my kind of place. He hesitates for a moment, looking unsure.
Would you like to come then?
Whoa, is he asking me out? I mean, to be fair, we made, like, I think that was very straightforward of us. You bet. I don't know. What do you want, Kenway? Okay. Okay, baby. Okay. I really don't know what's up with him. I don't know if he's playing or what. Anyways. I'm a little caught off guard, but why not? He seems like a sweet guy. A little on the lost side, but who isn't? I'd love to. Let's do this.
Great. Let me just go talk to someone real quick and then we can get going.
I finish my drink, then go wait for Dan by the club entrance. I'm beginning to think he was right about the icebox. It's way too chaotic for any kind of real intimacy. I'm more than ready to get away from the non-stop Euro dance and head somewhere cozier. Dan finally shows up a few minutes later, looking surprisingly upbeat. His eyes seem brighter and he's a little bit more relaxed. I guess asking him out was the right move after all. Some guys just need a little attention to bloom. I smile and take him by the hand. He says nothing, but doesn't pull away either. I'm parked just over there. So, who did you need to talk to? Just some work stuff. Don't worry about it. Work stuff. It's sour? I'm a courier, so sometimes I get last-minute pickup requests, things like that. Don't worry though, I think I'm off of the hook for the night. Now, let's get going, shall we? The drive is longer than expected, taking us past dark, empty parks and blocks of half-abandoned apartments with boarded-up windows. We're almost on the verge of leaving town altogether when Dan finally pulls over next to a battering-looking shack of a building with spray-painted signage. My heart instantly sinks as soon as I spot the words, Abyss Cafe. This is Dan's idea of a date spot? The inside of the cafe isn't much to write home about either. The place smells of mold, cigarettes, and stale beer, and the bare brick walls are plastered with old flyers and rude graffiti. But I bite my tongue, remembering that what Dan said about trash tourists. Nope, tonight I'm going to try to see the good in things and people. Besides, what's not to love? There's mood lighting, candles, cozy sofas, with only a bare minimum of weird, suspicious stains, and above all, privacy. Glancing around, I realized we almost got the entire space to ourselves. Is this why Dan wanted to take me here? I can't help but blush at the thought. Shall I get you coffee? A coffee at this time of night? I glanced over at the cafe's menu board for alternatives, only to discover that the one item listed is, in fact, coffee. Yeah, I know it's not much of a selection. They lost their alcohol license a few months back, something to do with illegal poetry nights, but the roast is good. And I've got a little something extra if you need it. He opens his jacket, giving me a peek at the beat-up hip flask. Surprise alcohol. Well, as they say, when in Rome, or a Nilsk. Yeah, I wouldn't, do this, but yeah, sure, I'll take a black coffee. Great, 2 black coffees, coming right up. I picked the cleanest and comfiest looking couch at the back of the room and settled down to wait. Moments later, Dan returns with our cups. Oh, don't you want to sit closer to the stage? I honestly hadn't even noticed a dinky area with a tiny projector screen at the other end of the room. Right, he mentioned something about live music earlier. You're gonna miss all the visuals over here. Come on, let's move to the front. I reluctantly follow him and we settle down in front of the screen. As we wait for the show to begin, Dan kindly pours a generous dash of surprise booze into my coffee. After a moment's hesitation, he decides to spike his own too. Eventually, a homeless looking guy wheels out some equipment and starts wiring it together. I was expecting a guitar, maybe a piano, but none of this stuff even looks like instruments. Unsettling synth music starts pouring out of the speakers. For a second, I think the setup is malfunctioning, but judging from the crowd's reactions, this seems to be right up their alley. I turned to Dan to comment, only to discover he disappeared while I was watching the setup process. Minutes pass and I'm starting to get more and more uncomfortable. Even the hooched up coffee is barely distracting me from the racket. By the time Dan finally slips back into his seat, I'm more than ready to pull the plug on this evening. This performance is like an anxiety attack in stereo. I suffer from anxiety. I take medication for it every single day. I wish my anxiety was like this. This is nothing compared to anxiety. Hey, Dan, can we maybe... I look over, only to realize that Dan's closed his eyes and is now slowly swaying in time to the electronic garland blasting from the speakers. He seems absolutely absorbed by the noise. I desperately wish I could say the same. A moment later, the bleeping finally stops and I breathe a sigh of relief. Dan leans in and taps me on the shoulder.
Hey.
Check it out, he's about to play my demo. Your demo? That's cool. What kind of music do you... Now this is more anxiety sounding like. Hey baby. Tapang. Tapang kan vizinho. What is this? Oh god. He just keeps going. I look at the stage and instantly regret my decision. The projector has started flicking through a wobbly series of blotches at high speed, splashing violent colors across the wall. After about 30 seconds of this, I can feel the beginnings of a brutal migraine gathering in the back of my head. Meanwhile, Dan appears to have blissfully melted into the sofa. What am I even doing here? Let's be a little bit supportive. My inherent politeness wins out and I decide to at least stay until the end of Dan's track. At least I hope it's only one track. God help me if he's got an entire album of this stuff queued up. I finish off my spiked coffee and stare at the patterns on the projector, desperately trying to tune out the music. Slowly, the visuals start pulling me in. In fact, the longer I watch, the more the noise and static start to transform into real sounds and images. So I let my mind wander, feeling a kind of freedom I've never felt before. Nothing around me matters anymore, but in a fun way. I'm almost contemplating going into Shavasana on the floor when Dan's voice brings back to earth. You okay there? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. How long has it been? About an hour or so. The cafe is closing in 15. We should start eating out. An hour? Wow, did I fall asleep? Yeah, sorry about that. I guess I'm more jet lagged than I thought. No worries, I get it. The set is pretty intense for a beginner. I see him smile for the first time. It's a good look on him. After last round of coffees, we make our way back to Dan's ancient car. He's offered to drive me back to the hotel, and now I'm seriously weighing whether to invite him to my room. On one hand, it's a perfect chance. I mean, that's what I came here for. To go on a fun adventure and find a cute guy to hook up with. Still, I kind of like to get to know that guy first, and Dan's given me nothing. So far, he's either been dodging my questions or just spacing out. We're almost at the car when he suddenly breaks the silence. You know, I fully expected you to leave halfway through that show. The thought certainly crossed my mind. You did? So, why did you even take me here? He lights up a cigarette.
I don't know. I think, in a way, I maybe wanted this date to go badly.
What? Why? What's wrong with this guy?
I don't know. Maybe I thought that if I set myself up to fail, I won't have to worry about being disappointed. Or something. Plus, it gives me an excuse to get fucked up afterwards. Sorry, I'm just rambling now. I'm glad you stayed. Sorry if it sucked.
It didn't. Actually, at some point my mind just went somewhere. Yeah? Yeah, I can't really describe it. I think it was like the thing we do at the end of the yoga class where you meditate, but like better. It lets out a chuckle. I guess that's one way to put it. You know, I used to make VR trips for a living, out of body experiences, that kind of thing. Oh, that sounds fun. I love a good VR sesh after a long day at work. Maybe you could show me a thing or two. Yeah, about that. I can't really do VR anymore. Some stuff happened. Long story. Now I just listen to harsh noise and get high, hoping it will do the trick. Sometimes it does. Sorry. Dan suddenly went from not saying anything to sharing a bit too much. Be careful what you wish for, I guess. Anyway, if you like VR, maybe try one of the salons in town. They only do canned stuff, and all of their trips are stolen, but it's the only safe legal option around here. Trips are so much better live, but what are you gonna do? By now, we've reached Dan's ride, a gently rusting Soviet-era relic with an electric blue paint job and the equivalent of a lawnmower engine under the hood. I steal a glance at Dan as he struggles to unlock his car. He looks so sad. Sad and worn out. Doesn't seem right to leave him alone like this. Would a hug help? Or a drink? Or maybe something else? Like, let's be realistic here. This character that we're playing as wants to hook up. Trying my best to match the vibe of the character we're playing as, I do have a thing for blonde hair. This guy's blonde. And I don't know who the voice actor is, but I love their voice. So, let's go. Invite him back to the hotel. I give him a playful look. So, would you like to come back to my room with me? It's not much, but it's got a pretty decent minibar. We could have a few more drinks and see what happens. He hesitates for a second. Well, I guess I could stay for at least a drink or two. Good. We roll up to my hotel a short while later. Seizing the initiative, I hustle him out of the car and into the lobby elevator. Doesn't seem like my enthusiasm is catching on though. Right now, Dan looks like he'd rather be anywhere but here. You know, on second thought, let's maybe see if he's okay first. Hey, is everything okay? Yeah, it's fine. I just need a drink, I guess. Dan's back to avoiding eye contact with me. Maybe a one-night stand isn't the best idea after all. From what I've seen, he's clearly not in the right state of mind for this. I give him a reassuring smile. You know, we don't have to do anything if you're not feeling up to it.
I don't know.
But then this whole night would have been for nothing. I'd hate to feel like I've wasted your time one weekend in the country. That's not true. I've enjoyed your company. That's not nothing.
Thanks.
I don't hear that too often. So, what do you say? Do you still want to come up for a nightcap? We can just talk about, I don't know, music or whatever else you'd like. Sure, why not? After what seems like the longest elevator ride ever, we finally reach my room. As promised, I dig into the minibar and I'm about to take out a bottle of red when Dan stops me. Actually, I think I'll have a soda. Just a soda? Seemed pretty on board with something stronger just a few minutes ago. Whatever makes him feel more comfortable, I guess. With a shrug, I pour us 2 glasses of Pepsi and settle down next to him. I guess it doesn't make that much of a difference seeing as I already broke my 3-day sobriety streak. Oh no. Wait, you've been trying to quit drinking? I'm sorry, I had no idea. Well, not just drinking. There might have been some other substances too. Oh boy, the do-it-yourself detox book he was reading suddenly makes a lot more sense. So then, that work call you got at the club. Yeah, that was my dealer. I fucked up, didn't I? Was it because of our date? Did I do something? He hesitates, clearly not wanting to hurt my feelings. No, it's not you. I'm the one with the problem here. Who goes off for a cocktail bar with a full hip flask when they're trying to get clean, right? I just got anxious and needed something to take the edge off. And my dealer, well, he was right there, so guess I'm not ready to get back in the dating scene just yet. Hey, I understand. I just got out of a bad situation myself. I know it's not easy putting yourself out there. Still, you've gone on a date and survived. It's a start, right? Yeah, maybe I could try going on one sober someday too. I'd like that. How about a daytime date next time? What? How about a daytime date next time then? No drinking, just sightseeing. He tries his best to hide it, but I see a little glimmer of excitement in his eyes.
Seriously?
In that case, maybe we could visit the Museum of Contemporary Art, or the National Gallery, or the State Library, or the other library where they keep all those banned sci-fi books if some mob hasn't burned it down yet. Then there's the Cindy Cinema just around the corner. Wait, I'll show you before I go. Got a pen? I hand him a ballpoint and a city map I picked up at the airport, then spent an informative 5 minutes watching him cover almost every inch of it with elaborate notes and directions. Eventually, he stops writing and turns over his handiwork with a slightly self-conscious expression.
Sorry, got a little carried away. Anyway, hope this helps. There's all sorts of stuff around here that you won't find in the guides.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Dan. This is really helpful.
It's the least I can do.
Okay, holy shit. Number one, I had an alcohol problem from 17 years old to 23 years old. I'm sober, and I've been sober since. And I can understand Dan and his struggles with substance abuse, alcohol abuse. And another thing, I really like museums. I like history. So, like, I don't really travel unless I'm forced to. And when given the chance to visit museums, art galleries, exhibitions, I'm there. Like, that's what I want to do. So I'm really digging this.
I mean, I guess you can go see this stuff by yourself too, but I wrote down my number in case you get lost or something.
Come on, game.
Well, anyway, guess I better leave you to it and head back home. I think I've had enough nightlife for tonight.
The last few hours have been a roller coaster, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little sad to see things end, especially now that Dan's actually starting to open up. Guess so. Thanks for staying.
No problem. Take care.
Cata or Shane. You too, Dan. Stay safe out there. I give him a hug, long enough to thoroughly absorb the cigarette smell of his jacket, though that's the least of my concerns right now, and send him on his way. A few minutes later, I hear the unmistakable sound of Dan's car misfiring out of the hotel parking lot. Through the window, I watch him drive off into the night. I really hope he'll be okay. Your bond with Dan has grown deeper. Perhaps you could take him up on his offer tomorrow. After a bit of hesitation, I decide to ask the hotel's reception to call me a cab back to the icebox. Not quite ready to turn in, and just sitting around getting hammered off my room's mini bar seems like a very sad and expensive way to end the night. Things are still upping out on the dance floor. I take a minute to scan the crowd and figure out where I want to go next. Fixer. I'm going like them by order, maybe. Actually, no. I'm actually going like, let's say, attraction. Let's say. No, cool. Fashion time. I've never dated a full-on Borg before, but there's always been something kind of exciting about the idea. Oh yes, let's fetishize people. That's wonderful. So when I read about the icebox and the Stradanian cyborg scene, I figured, why not? What's a post-break of vacation for if you can't let yourself get at least a little wild? But so far, the only guy who's jumped out at me is the flashy raver type in the fancy designer threads from earlier, and he's nowhere to be seen. The other cyborgs on the floor, at least the obvious ones, might as well not be there at all. Save for the odd piercing here and there, everybody just looks so normal. Boring, even. I'm beginning to get the feeling my travel guide sold me a bill of goods. So I aimlessly wander through the bar, the dance floor, the chill-out rooms. I'm just about to give up when a familiar red mohawk and glowing cyber arm sweeps past me. Only catch the barest glimpse of my guy before he disappears behind a roped-off and curtained entrance. The sign next to it reads Private Function, VIPs only. VIPs, huh? Despite the sign, I don't see any bouncers on guard. Intrigued, I step over the rope barrier to poke my nose in. Unlike the rest of the club, The Icebox VIP is built for intimacy, with cushy seats, mood lighting, and plenty of space. And smoke. Smoke that tastes like popcorn and soap. It doesn't take long to find its source either. My cyborg friend and his buddies are huddled around in a corner, taking turns on a giant glowing hookah. All of them are impeccably dressed, with carefully coordinated outfits. I suddenly feel like an awkward teenager approaching the pool table in high school again. My guy looks up at me and instantly grimaces. He takes a final puff from the hookah and then sets it down, walking towards me with extremely visible annoyance.
Hey, are you lost or something? It's VIPs only in here.
You sound like a douchebag. Well, time to wing it and let Jack strings to their magic. Well, who's to say I'm not a VIP? Huh.
In that outfit? Yeah, not likely.
I know he doesn't mean that. No, he's just putting me down to make me want his approval, the oldest trick in the book. I really won't waste my precious evening on these kinds of games. I'm already fucking annoyed. I'm really annoyed by this guy. Jesus Christ. But, yeah. Oh, you wanna play? Let's play. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm actually a journalist. Yeah, from the Vice magazine. Great, thanks, Breen. You'll totally be wowed by the name dropping and the only tech magazine I can remember from the airport newsstand. The board raises an eyebrow.
Device, huh? The US mag?
The one and only. I'm here doing a piece on cyber culture in other countries. That actually seems to have piqued his interest. Guess it's time to go all in. We've heard so much about Sardinia's cyborgs that I figured... Oh, give me a second, please. We've heard so much about Sardinia's cyborgs that I figured I'd go straight to the source and talk to the trendsetters in the community. Would you consider yourself a trendsetter? You certainly look like it.
Duh. I practically invented cyberculture here in Stradania.
Really? This must be my lucky day.
You bet. It's a good thing you came to me first. I'm No Cool, by the way. That's cool with 2 zeros.
Nice to meet you, No Cool. I'm Cata. So, does this mean I can join you in the VIP room?
Sure. Well, actually.
He looks back at his fellow VIPers and hesitates for a second.
Actually, I'll do you one better.
He leads me through the VIP section to a solid-looking door, which opens into... This here's our super VIP room, great for one-on-ones. What about your friends? No need to involve them. I know all there is to know about the latest trends. They just parrot whatever I say anyway. I look around. The super VIP room is very cozy indeed. In fact, it's just a love seat, a couple of lava lamps, and a ball pit for some reason. On closer inspection, I also can't help but notice the cracked tiled walls and what looks like remnants of plumbing. Was this place a bathroom? Well, that doesn't really matter. What matters is Jesus, sorry. I'm so sorry. What matters is that I got No Cool's attention. I'll be back in just a second. Let me get some drinks, yeah? Looks like I spoke too soon. It takes off before I've even processed what's happening. Some time passes while I entertain myself by counting the cracks in the tiles. No Cool finally comes back with 3 Kyoto sunsets in hand. He quickly hands me one and immediately ducks out again. I sigh and settle in on the love seat, sipping at my cocktail. Guess that's what I get for trying to hang with a popular crowd. Another 10 minutes pass. I'm starting to get flashbacks to my prom night here. Maybe I should go see what's taking him. I'm gonna check it out. I didn't come all the way out here just to spend the entire evening alone in a refurbished bathroom. I give it a few more minutes and then head back into the VIP area. But the guy at iTech swore to hell and back that those modular liner jackets should be in by next week. I'm first on the call list. As it turns out, No Cool didn't get too far. In fact, he's right back at the hookah, laughing it up with his crew. With one arm wrapped firmly around the waist of a silver-haired girl who's in the process of finishing off that extra Kyoto sunset. Yep, just like the prom night all over again. Am I interrupting something? The girl gives me a sub-zero glare. What do you want? Mostly to know why I'm sitting around your super VIP area like a dummy while my date's out here giving you the runaround. Date? I think you're a little confused here. Let's chill out and... No! Who the hell is this? Nobody. Just some reporter. We were gonna do an interview for this big feature on Stradania's cyberculture.
Oh.
And when were you planning on telling the rest of us about this?
Babe.
Hey, he was the one who insisted on taking me to your super secret bathroom clubhouse so the rest of you wouldn't find out. He even said there was no need to involve you. I just wanted to make sure you were legit first. Besides, I think you should leave now. Hey, listen. She throws her cocktail glass at my feet, just barely missing. Scram! Shit, better get out of here before things get any uglier. Well, that sure was an experience. I guess time to try my luck somewhere else. Fixer. No. Okay, the fixer... Yeah, Sandman now. The ponytail guy hanging around the back entrance seemed to be the only person the club wasn't dressed to impress. Oh no, oh fuck, I actually wanted shit parade. Well, anyways, with this dorky and slightly worn sweater, glasses, and button-up shirt, I was immediately reminded of my international relations professor back in college. Then again, I did always have a little bit of a crush on the prof. What made me stop, though, was the intensity of his look. When I first spotted him, he was working on a sleek palm-top computer, staring at his screen so aggressively that I half expected lasers to suddenly start shooting out of his eyes. For a second, I imagined what it would be like to have him look at me like that instead. Sweater or no sweater, the image was incredibly appealing. I disagree. Except, the spot he was sitting at is empty now, and I have no idea where he went. For all I know, he might have gone home already. He didn't really seem like the party all night type. Oh well, may as well head back to the bar and...
Apologies. Did not see you.
Ooh, you're British! There he is. No problem. I was actually on my way to come by and say hi, but...
Sorry, no time.
The way he's scanning the club makes it clear he's looking for something. And judging by how on edge he's acting, it's got to be important. Did you lose something? Maybe I can help.
Maybe.
There's this weird quality to the way he speaks too. Like, he's trying to figure out how to get this point across while saying as little as possible. Definitely not your average kind of guy, but since the last average guy I dated wound up sleeping with my personal trainer, maybe that's not a bad thing. What are you looking for?
A dog. A small, white coat. Ancestor Venera. Must have slipped out of her bag
Oh,
earlier.
bear with me, please. Sorry. I did not see that one coming. Offer to help out. Who takes a dog to a nightclub, especially a club like the Icebox? Maybe it's a service animal, but still. What breed is she? Pomeranian? A Pomeranian! And here I was expecting some weird rough and tumble Russian breed. Looks like our cool man of mystery is a bit of a softie at heart. Now I've just been handed the perfect excuse to get to know him a little better. Why don't we split up? I'll check the common areas, and you can look around the back. We can cover a lot more ground with two people looking. I'm Cata, by the way.
Thanks.
Sandman. Now, where do I start looking? Outside. I told Sandman not to seek the common areas, but I figure it's worth taking a quick look outside all the same. The clump of smokers by the entrance barely gives me a glance as I hurry past and head for the rear of the club. Rounding the icebox makes me realize just how big the building is. From what I've seen, the dance floor, booths, and bar can't be taking up more than a quarter of the available space. Which begs the question, what are they using the other 3/4 for? I shiver. Not so much at the thought though, more due to the strange cold mist that's leaking from the pipes I pass on the way. I'm close to giving up when I hear a soft bark, almost completely drowned out by the hiss of gas. I follow the sound to one of the larger conduits. Underneath, there's a small and shivering white dog looking at me with cautious eyes. Hey little one, you must be Venera. The dog perks up at the sound of my voice. As her head rises up, I notice there's some kind of strange antenna embedded in her skull. I know pet implants are a thing, but it's usually just stuff like tracking devices. I don't think I've ever seen anything this extreme. Worse, a few tufts of fur seem to be caught in the casing, probably from scrabbing around the vent. Small wonder she's in distress. You found her. I didn't realize Sandman was standing behind me until he spoke. He moves almost disturbingly quietly. Yeah, so, what's with the antenna? Sandman beckons to Vanera, who wastes no time jumping up into his arms with a happy little yip.
That's always been there. A leftover from previous owners.
He affectionately scritches Vanera's ears, then deposits her in his messenger bag and zips it up, leaving just enough of an opening for the dog's head to poke out.
Good evening.
Thanks for assisting. Hey, wait a second! After turning half the club upside down looking for Vanera, I'm not ready to let him off that easily. Yeah, I just went immediately outside though. I've had some experience treating animals. Why don't I come with you and make sure your pup's okay? Her fur's a mess and it is pretty cold out here. Technically, I'm not lying. I've spent enough hours at my sister's dog grooming salon to pick up a trick or two, even if those tricks are more focused on coat care. But Sandman doesn't need to know that, does he? He gives me a calculating look, one that lasts a few seconds longer than comfortable. Finally, he nods. Come now. As I turn to follow Sandman, I notice two other dogs peeking out around the club's dumpster. Both are equipped with camera eyes, and both are staring directly at me. Shivering, I hurry to catch up. The walk from the icebox is mostly silent. It's quickly clear that Sandman isn't really keen on conversation, and most of my small talk goes unanswered. Eventually, we reach a tunnel. Going by the flaking paint and rust-specked warning signs, it's been abandoned for a while. This way. I have to keep telling myself that this will make a great story for when I get back, because every rational instinct I still have is yelling at me to get the hell out now. And the further we go, the creepier the ambience becomes. Lights flicker and die, and I swear I can hear rats skittering around in the distance. Sandman seems unfazed though. Wherever we're going, it's pretty clear he's come this way many, many times before. Here. Finally, after what feels like an absolute eternity of wandering, Sandman stops at the battered service door and taps out a combination on a keypad. The door swings open with a groan, revealing even more darkness, with just a tiny bit of green glow from a row of old computer screens to break it up. I take a quick glance at the screens showing lines of code, and was that a person just now? 1 second. It hits a switch, bringing up some fluorescent overhead. With the benefit of proper lighting, I finally have a chance to take in my surroundings. I once dated a PhD student who lived in a rat-trap basement apartment with no windows and built most of his furniture out of milk crates. This is something else entirely. Computers aside, most of the space seems to be taken up by kennels, with enough space for a dozen dogs or so. Kind of an unusual place you've got there. A means to an end. Sorry. Sandman sets his bag down and lets Vanera out. There's a few other dogs lurking in the darker corners of the room. Mix of breeds and sizes, whose only common feature is the weird cybernetic widgets they're sporting. A few of them poke their heads out to stare at me. There's an intelligence in their expressions that sends a little shiver through me. So it's just you and the dogs down here? Mostly. Sandman gives me an expectant look. It takes me a second before I remember my promise from the icebox. Oh, right, I was going to give Vanera a quick checkup, wasn't I? The little Pomeranian settles in front of us. I kneel down, hoping I look at least somewhat professional in the face of Sandman's scrutiny. The tiny sensible part of me is begging me not to overplay my hand here, but sometimes you have to take a chance, right? So, try to get some of the gunk out of her fur. We should probably try to get some of this liquid off. God only knows what kind of crutch she's gotten into. Do you have any shampoo? To my surprise, Sandman immediately pulls a bottle from a nearby box. My implant's struggling with the Russian, but I see the words for a glossy coat on there. I dutifully pour some out and start massaging it while Sandman goes off to collect a water pail. I'll have to write my sister a thank you after all this is over. Instead of dog fur and fudge, however, my fingers keep pressing into something far more hard and metallic, eventually provoking a whimper from Vanera. I carefully pull my hand away. This definitely wasn't a situation the Pamper Pup Salon equipped me to deal with. Sandman seems to notice my confusion. Implants, monitoring equipment mostly. Why would you install monitoring equipment in a dog? Again, previous owners. I sense slightest tinge of anger in Sandman's voice. From everything I've seen so far, he's very protective of Vanera. The upside is that now I have an easy out for my bluff. I don't really have a lot of experience with, cyberdogs, sorry. Understandable. He quietly washes the rest of the shampoo out himself, then nods at Vanera. Pomeranian promptly scampers off into the darkness to join the rest of the pack. Thanks for trying. So anyway, what's a guy like you doing all the way down here? It's complex. You can say that again. I wait, hoping my sons might prod Sandman into volunteering a little more information. No such luck, though. I don't think I've ever seen that many monitors in one place before. A personal project. If Sandman ever took up poker, the gambling world would be in a whole heap of trouble. I've seen statues with more readable faces. Did you have anything planned? What the hell, sorry. Did you have anything else planned for this evening, then?
Yes.
There, I hope. And what's that? A visitor for work? Well, if they're going to be wild... What the hell? Well, if they're going to be wild, we could maybe order some food, or... You should be here soon. Tone of Sandman's voice makes it pretty clear he's not open to debate on this one. So much for that idea. Okay, well, I guess I should let you get on with your evening. Thanks for showing me your place, I guess. Yeah, thanks for earlier. As I get up to collect my things, Vanera gives me a little yap of acknowledgement from the recesses of the room. Can you find your way back? I should be okay. Take care, Sandman. You too, Cata. I gather up my stuff and hustle for the exit, trying to ignore the dog staring at me from every half-dark corner of the room. Finding my way back out of the dingy, filthy tunnels takes way longer than I was planning on, but eventually I'm back in the daylight, nightlight, streetlight. Whatever. The important part is that I'm not underground anymore. Luckily, I managed to flag down a cab to the club relatively quickly. I re-enter the main room with a sigh. What a night this is turning out to be. Things are still pretty hopping, but this evening is going by quickly. Better be smart about the time I have left. Shit parade. There's a younger looking guy with a soul patch and a wild pink mohawk set up in a booth on the other end of the club. He's working through a row of beer cans. He seems to be having a great time doing so, judging by the grin on his face. And if I'm going to be honest, after the fiasco with Dan, I could really use somebody a little more upbeat. I'm still trying to figure out an icebreaker as I walk towards his booth, but he's already on it before I can even open my mouth.
Come on, no need to be shy. Plenty of room for everybody here.
I take a seat. I'm Cata.
A pleasure. I'm Igor. My friends, however, like to call me Shit Parade.
If that's what your friends call you, what do your enemies use? It's a bright, pleasant kind of sound, a sound I wouldn't mind hearing more of.
It's just the title of a column I used to write in a local VR zine. Bad trip reviews, like fucktastrophically bad.
Oh, you're a writer. That triggers another laugh. I do like a guy who doesn't take himself seriously.
If you want to be fancy about it, probably more on the money to say I worked through my inadequacies on paper.
The last part is delivered with a knowing wink. Good to know. Though I think I'll stick to Igor if you don't mind.
More power to you. You into VR at all?
Honestly, I've never, ever tried VR. So, I don't know. Sure, I like a good sim every now and then to bust some stress. Mostly the spa programs. You know Hot Stones 3?
I can't say I do, but I'll admit, my tastes are very singular.
Singular in what way?
Might be easier to show instead of tell, especially if you've got an implant. Ever wanted to broaden your VR horizons a little?
That almost sounds like an invitation. Might be fun. Might be convinced to.
In that case, you're in luck. Meet me out front in 10. We're gonna go hit a salon.
Igor leaves me hanging for a few minutes extra before he finally rolls up. Oh, gosh, I feel like such an idiot. Worse, he's noticed me staring.
What's up?
Sorry, I didn't actually realize you were...
Disabled? Hey, if it makes you feel any better, you can just say you were distracted by my dazzling line of repartee.
Can I be very honest? Number one, I'm very happy that we've got a character that requires a wheelchair, well, to be independent. Because I can't think of many video games. Actually, I can't think of a single video game where that has been the case. Yeah. I mean, I can think of Yara from the Last of Us franchise and Ellie as well, where they end up losing parts of their bodies. But other than that, I don't really see like disabled representation. So I think it's very important to feature disabled characters in all sorts of media. Um, but at the same time, I also feel it's incredibly insensitive from our character's reaction, because I would never just stare. I would just go on. I mean, not go on with my life, because I am supposed to hang out with him, but I just wouldn't treat him or greet him any differently. So I'm not really a fan of the way that our character reacts. Although, and according to a lot of disabled people, at least on Instagram, because I follow a bunch of disabled people, it's the ableism is too strong often. So it's realistic, but at the same time, like, it's realistic, it's common to have these reactions, but it doesn't make them okay. All right. So disabled. Hey, if it makes you feel any better, you can just say you were distracted by my dazzling line of repartee. Works for me. Dazzling, huh?
I can also accept effusive or charming. I'm easy like that.
You really are a writer, huh? Effusive it is, then.
Right on. Let's get this disaster on the road.
Disaster? Before I can question him, Yegor's already rolled off towards the parking lot, chuckling to himself. Finding a cab to accommodate Yegor's chair takes a little doing. Yup. But eventually we're dropped off at a glitzy neon lit shop front across the street from a department store. The sleek letters above the entrance identify the place we just entered as Digital Serenity. I've been to my share of VR salons back home, and this one feels more like a bad mini mall than the cutting edge of technology. For a start, every square inch of the place is soaked in this reddish pink mood lighting that makes me feel like I'm drowning in my dad's old lava lamp. The only thing more overwhelming than the lights is the smell of cheap, pine-scented air freshener that hangs in the room. The VR stations themselves are rows of glossy loungers, each with its own computer and headset. It's meant to look cool and futuristic, but it mostly makes me think of dentist's office. I settle down and wait for Yegor to finish checking us in, try my best to get comfortable. The loungers might be sleek, but they're anything but ergonomic. At least he's paying. Oh man, that's super rude. Yegor rolls back from the check-in desk with a big 3-ring binder in his hands and a wicked gleam in his eye. Here's a trip catalog. Take a look through, see if anything jumps out at you. I can give you a few picks if you're stuck. Don't worry about the prices, we're all covered for the night. He smugly flashes a little plastic card emblazoned with the Digital Serenity logo. It looks like an employee ID, but there's something off about it. The name on the card seems familiar too, and a second later I realize why. It's No Cool's badge, with a photo booth picture of Yegor crudely glued on top. I'm tempted to call you around on it, but after all the crap No Cool pulled earlier, I guess the least he can do is spot us some free trips. I open the binder and take my time flipping through the badly Xeroxed trip descriptions, conscious of Yegor's eyes on me. There's no sign of the kinds of sims I would occasionally treat myself back home here. No Mystic Grotto, no Featherfall, no Wild Snake River. Looks like Stradanians prefer it a little rougher, if names like Sniffing Glue or Millionaire Orgy, oh my god, are anything to go by. Having trouble deciding? It's not so much that. Most of the stuff just sounds a little too extreme for my tastes. Check towards the back, that's where they keep all the random garbage from the ass end of Dreamspace BBS. I'll follow Yegor's advice and skip to the end of the binder, where the descriptions start getting shorter and the typos a lot more noticeable. The names aren't exactly grabbing me though. Tundra Truck, My First Trip, Monkey Shock. Here, why don't I pick something to get you warmed up? Thanks, it's kind of a lot to take in. Never fear, I know just a thing. He punches in a 3-digit selection code on my terminal, then unhooks the VR headset and ends it over.
All right.
All systems are go. Buckle in and hang on to your hat. Things are about to get crappy with a capital crappy. I pull down the headset and adjust the straps. The strap, sorry. It's bigger and heavier than the ones at home, but sits comfortably enough. With that done, I plug in my implant and wait. There's a short pause as the system boots up and begins loading the trip. The startup sequence wraps, depositing me on a glowing path suspended in the middle of a kind of digital abyss. In the distance, the path snakes into a giant purple sphere, then onto somewhere, disappearing into the darkness. My guess that this was supposed to be a mindfulness sim, or one of those fancy exploratory trips my therapist keeps trying to push on me. But after all the Yegor's big talk on the way over, I was expecting something a little more impressive. This just looks like somebody's first attempt at VR. Sighing, I take a step forward on the path. Maybe the inside of the sphere will at least be... Whoa! Before I have a chance to react, the path under my feet starts turning itself inside out, stretching and twisting and straight up exploding around me. I try to step backwards, but any movement only seems to tear the sim world up further. Rainbows pour out of the cracks until all I see is wild color, getting brighter and brighter. Alright, sorry about this. Phew, I don't think I've ever seen... what the hell? Phew, I don't think I've ever been this glad to see an error message before. Oh god. Oh no. How do I get out of here? Suddenly, the trip shuts down, leaving me staring at a blank screen. So, what's the verdict? I can't bring myself to lie. That might have been the worst trip I've ever been on. To my surprise, Igor's grinning from ear to ear. Right? Shitty sims are a dime a dozen. But Mystery Sphere, TRPs, a whole other ballgame. If they ever make a Hall of Fame of uncut VR suckage, it would be a shoe-in. I mean, how do you manage to F up your virtual object pointer so badly that you crash both the system and the headset? You've got to work to shit the bed that badly. First time I ran it, I ended up sucking down like half a bottle of vodka afterwards just to make the humming stop. I don't suppose you got any of that vodka on you? No can do. They keep pretty tight leash on outside drinks here. You up for another one then? Charming as Igor may be, might be, I'm not exactly thrilled by the idea of spending the rest of my evening being subjected to crappy VR. Maybe it's time to nudge things into a more intimate direction. Can I pick the next strip? Okay, one more, but I pick this time, and you're joining me, okay? Sure, have at it. I take my time leafing through the big trip grinder, looking for something with a bit of romantic atmosphere. Nothing too blanked, of course. I don't want to tip my hand yet. I just need a sim that's cozy enough to set the right tone. And then... okay, this one sounds like might be nice. Sunset Beach. Who's it by? The Escapist? Dan? Ooh boy. All I'm gonna say is don't get your hopes up. Something about the little chuckle at the end of that sentence makes my blood run cold. I wait for the system to boot up, hoping I've made the right choice. Then again, it's a beach simulation. Seriously, what could possibly be wrong on a VR beach? After a bit of chugging, the trip finally boots up, and I find myself standing at the edge of an ocean lit by setting sun. The water shimmers in a strange shades of magenta and blue, reflecting the skyscrapers across the bay. It's clearly meant to relax, but none it feels quite right. Like the whole thing was built by somebody who'd never actually seen who'd never seen an actual ocean before. Yo, Cata over here. Igor is relaxing by the water's edge, letting the virtual tides lap at his feet. Looks pretty confident, all things considered. Gotta say, this is a little easier on the old brain box than Dan's usual fare. It's kinda nice, actually.
I should have tell him I said that, though. I'd never live it down.
Don't worry, it'll be our little secret. I settle down next to him, taking a moment to just enjoy the calm. So I was thinking, maybe after this we could grab... In an instant, the seaside is gone, replaced by something, a red writhing mass of flash and static, and... What the hell was that? I look around, but whatever that disgusting mess might have been, it's gone now. Sorry, I didn't think. It's fine. One of Dan's trademark bad acid-fueled breakdowns probably just ended up in the trip recorder by accident. Just caught me off guard, that's all. Guess I'm getting rusty in my old age. Old? You? Come on, you're... The simulation lurches again, and we're back in the middle of the meat palms and glitched out water. Worse, something's watching us, something big just behind the horizon. I hear Igor yelp somewhere behind me as the grinning skull breaks through the sim, growing and growing while I frantically hammer at buttons trying to force the program to quit. One of my desperate key combinations finally shuts the sim down. I can feel a migraine starting to come on, and a bad one from the feel of it. Even Igor seems a little shell-shocked. It's off-putting to see him at a loss for words. You okay?
Man.
Yeah, that just brought back some bad memories. I guess the original trip data got corrupted when Dan had his accident, and they never bothered to check it. Dan mentioned that something broke his ability to use VR on our way back from the cafe. He was just as cagey about it, too. Maybe this is my chance to learn a little bit more about what happened. I've met Dan, actually. Really? My condolences. How's he been keeping himself, anyhow? I don't know. We only went out for coffee. He seemed pretty depressed, truth be told. Trust me, that's pretty much SOP for the man. Far as I can tell, his only real happiness comes in small bags, and even that's a crapshoot. So about that accident you mentioned. It's not really something I like getting into. There was I guess you could call it a worm or a virus or malware. Dan was one of the first to get hit by it. He came out mostly okay, by his standards. Me, well, Lady Luck pretty much took a running kick straight at my nuts. Igor lets out a little ragged sigh. So, let's just park the topic, okay? The story doesn't exactly get any happier. Sure, no problem. Sorry to bring it up. This is awful. All I wanted to do was get a nice romantic mood going. Now everything's turning to gloom and doom, and I don't know how to fix it. There's got to be a sim in the spider that isn't a complete horror show. How about one last trip? I leaf through the trip catalog one final time, determined to find something nice and romantic that will get this date back on track. The more descriptions I read, the more I get the feeling that most of these sims are deliberately awful. I'm about to give up when I stumble across an entry marked Room for Two by a tripper called Terminatrix. What happens in these four walls is between you and you alone. Take your time and discover each other as you explore what your heart truly wants. Sounds perfect. I'll probably try one more trip before we call it a night. I found one that looks good. Sure, as long as it's not another one of Dan's freakouts. Don't worry, I think this one's going to be a lot more relaxed. Alright, hit me. In spite of everything that's happened so far, I've got a good feeling about this one. And once things have warmed up a bit, I figure we can find a nice restaurant in the area and see where things takes us. The loading screen disappears, giving way to complete darkness. For a second, I'm left wondering whether there's an error in, program. What the hell? I'm so sorry. For a second, I'm left wondering whether there's an error in the program. Then I realize that this isn't complete darkness. There's the faintest glimmer of light visible, like I'm wearing a blindfold. I try to move, only to realize that something's securing me in place and pretty firmly to boot. Igor? Yes, Katarshane? I can't see him, but judging from the slight snicker in his voice, he's certainly amused by the situation. Me less so. I try to move my simulated arms again, but they're bound tight. Where are we? Well, I'm no expert, but judging by the chains and whips and medieval-looking accoutrements, I believe we're in what the general populace might refer to as sex dungeon. What? Why? Don't ask me. You're the one who chose the trip, remember? Oh my god. I can't hit the exit prompt fast enough. Mercifully, the trip shuts down almost immediately. I don't think I've ever been this mortified in my life. I hope you didn't think not quite what I'd chosen for a first date, but hey, sometimes you got to put yourself out there. No, seriously, the description made it sound all nice and romantic, and not that. Oh god, at least he's laughing again. It happens. Though just for future reference, keep an eye out for those little asterisks in the trip names. Those boys usually mean things are going to get spicy. Thanks. I don't have long to marinate in my embarrassment though, because just then a loud shout sounds from over... What? A loud shout sounds out from over by the salon's check-in desk. There's a police officer talking to the receptionist, who's emphatically and angrily pointing in our direction.
Oh, crap.
Whoop, the jig's up. Thought it'd take them at least an hour to flag the ID. Guess they're getting smarter about their security again. What's the penalty for scamming free trips with a stolen employee card? Oh, normally they just bar you from the salon, but Digi and I have a bit of a, could call it history. So I strongly suggest making a beeline for the fire exit. Hey, hold it right there, you shitbirds. Ah, crap. As if things weren't tense enough, No Cool himself just walked into the room. and his anger only intensifies once he sees my face. You! Igor zips off at surprising speed, leaving me to bolt after him as fast as my legs can carry me. The fire exit drops us back onto the street. I can hear shouting behind us, but don't dare stop to look over my shoulder. I'm having a hard enough time keeping up with Igor. I'm really starting to regret dropping track and field back in the day. Igor notices I'm lagging and stops, waiting for me to catch up before motioning to me.
Come on.
Hop in! The running steps behind me are getting closer. I quickly climb on Igor's lap while he flips open one of the armrests on his wheelchair, revealing a handful of switches. He flicks one and we immediately lurch forward, rolling down the sidewalk at a surprisingly decent speed. I had a pal install this for emergencies. The battery shits itself after a few clicks, but it's hell of a ride until it lasts. He's not wrong. The buildings whip by in a blur as we rattle down the crackling, crumbling sidewalk, and it isn't long before our pursuers appear into the distance. After we put a few more blocks in breathing room between ourselves and the salon, he shuts the electric motor off again. My heart's racing at about 1,000,000 miles a minute now. Do you do a lot of this sort of thing?
You know...
Not nearly as much as I should. I haven't had this much fun in ages. We ought to split up though. The coppers usually get bored after an hour or so, but you never know when they'll decide to take it personally. I think there's a 2 missing, like when they'll decide to take it personally. I think anyways. Probably a good idea. So, some night, huh?
Oh, it's been a hoot. Thanks for indulging me. And if you ever want to try a private sim or two, I might be able to hook you up.
Thank you. As long as it's not another mystery sphere.
I absolutely cannot promise that. But give it a think over, eh? I'm in the icebox most evenings. Or just give me a call, and let's see where the night takes us.
We'll see. Thanks, Igor.
Anytime.
Good or shame. Anytime. I've exchanged numbers with Igor. I guess I know who to call if tonight doesn't work out. Looks like Igor enjoyed your company. Why not call him tomorrow? After saying my goodbyes to Igor, I managed to flag down a cab to take me back to the club. By the time the taxi pulls up in front of the icebox, I'm recovered and ready to mingle again. All the same, I think I'm done with VR for a while. I give the rest of the club a quick check before working my way over to the bar again. There's little of the commotion I saw at the start of the evening now. Hopefully, I haven't completely missed my chance to have a little fun. Thankfully, there's still plenty going on. I head straight for the bar once more, figuring I can grab a drink or two while I plan my next move. Who should I approach? The dark-haired guy in the corner has spent the entire time I've been here sipping the same can of beer and staring down the crowd on the floor. He's not quite my type, but I'll admit that there's something about that cool, tough facade that's caught my attention. For a start, he's wearing sunglasses after dark, and that vest, the spiky hair, his whole getup screams biker or rocker or whatever he is. I get the feeling I'm not going to get far by approaching him directly. So instead, I casually saunter up to his table, figuring I'll just wait for him to notice me. As soon as I catch his eye... He can't see me, right? He can't just be deliberately ignoring me. I mean, hello, I'm right here. Or there, sorry. Okay, fine. I clear my throat. The question comes out as kind of a low growl. I pull myself together and flash him a smile. Just wondering, is this seat taken? The man gives me a sour up and down look.
What's it to you?
Wow, he's really working that bad boy energy. It's just, I saw you sitting by yourself and thought you might like some company. The scowl flickers for a second.
Sure, I guess.
From what I've seen so far, that might be the best invitation I'm going to get. So I settle down across from him. Thanks, my name's Cata. Silence. That silence. Finally, after a few awkward moments, he relents.
People call me the Fixer.
The Fixer? It almost makes you sound like some kind of mafia hitman or something. Wait, you're not actually a mafia hitman, are you? Because if you are...
Don't be ridiculous. I run a VCR repair shop.
VCR repair? Come on, that's got to be a cover for some kind of super illegal operation, right? I get the feeling I'd better not poke at the topic too much. Time to switch gears. So, hey, come here often?
This place? Not a chance. I've got better things to do than spend my free time hanging around techwear kiddies, wannabes, and drugged-up trash tourists trying to get their rocks off.
Yikes, this conversation is going downhill fast. What are you doing here, then?
Business.
Almost asked what kind of business, but the last thing I want to do is get myself involved in some weird local underworld type deal. Switch gears. Did you have anything else planned tonight? Anything that isn't business, I
I
mean?
don't see how that's any of your concern.
Maybe I'm coming on a bit too strong. Let's try a different approach. Sorry, I just thought you might be interested in hitting town later. I'm new here and was kinda hoping to find a guy who wouldn't mind showing me the sights.
Look, not for nothing, but I don't even know you, okay?
But you could. I decided to go for broke. So why don't we change that? Fister gives me a sideways look, or as close to sideways look as you can pull off when you're wearing sunglasses. Meaning, I'll go get a couple of drinks and you can ask me some questions, get to know me a little better. What kind of questions? I give him a saucy grin. I'm sure you can think of something. Fister goes quiet for a moment. His facial expression is beyond unreadable.
Fine.
I'll bite, as long as you're paying for the drinks. Great, I'll be right back. Jack raises an eyebrow as he spots my approach. You and Fixer, huh? I figure a few drinks might loosen him up. There's got to be something under all that tough guy posturing, right? Yes, more Fixer. Any recommendations? He didn't seem like a big cocktail fan. Nah, he's more into the imported American beers. Get him a can of Budweiser and he'll be happy. Or at least 5% less grumpy. Just a second. He's pronounced Bud. Before I can finish correcting him, Jack's already set down a high-skate aluminum can on the counter. I squint at the red and white label with his subtle and not so subtle misspellings. I've also got a few Coors and Miller or two out back if you prefer something lighter. No, that's good. And what's your pleasure? I'll take a beer too. Sure thing. He pulls the second can out of the cooler. The metal is cold enough to be painful to the touch, but I tough it out, tucking the beers under my arm. Sorry, I couldn't be more of a help. By the way, guy's a tough nut to crack. If all else fails, maybe see what his friends have to say. Fixer as actual friends? I'm surprised, but also relieved. His friends, huh? Are any of them in the club tonight? Let's see, Sandman's around, I think. If anyone knows anything about Fixer, it's him. If you can get him to talk, that is. Seemed like type enjoys a good challenge, though. I flashed Jack an awkward smile and returned to my table to face my current challenge. One I'm not sure I'm enjoying just yet. Took you long enough. I set our booze down, praying the extra alcohol will find a way to coax my Prince Charming out of this particular frog. Fixer seems generally surprised when he realizes I brought the second can of beer back for myself, but doesn't comment on it. So I pull a ring tab and risk an experimental sip. It tastes like somebody doing a bad job of copying a bad American beer for a start. 9/10 of the flavor seems to be the metal from the can itself. For the sake of appearances, I choked down one more mouthful before nudging it aside. Fixer then cracks open his Budweiser and leans forward, arms crossed. So, questions. Fine, let's start with an easy one. What kind of music are you into? Better think about this one if I want to make a good impression. I don't remember what I answered, but I am... okay. Pop, industrial, or new age? I like pop, but I'm gonna go with industrial. You're going to laugh, but I'm a big fan of industrial music. Fixer purses his lips. I'm not sure whether he's approving or upset.
Really?
Like what? Oh, I've got some Revolting Cocks mixtape at home. Yeah, they're okay, I guess. A little too mainstream for my tastes. Anyway, you any good with computers? It's my... okay, my job is in IT, so I get by. Well, I dealt with the older systems a little bit. Fixer doesn't reply, but the response seems to have passed muster. Alright, well, how about virtual reality? You know anything about that? Something about the tone of the question makes it sound like he's itching for an excuse to rant. I just ran some trips earlier. Funny you should ask. I just got back from running a few trips in town.
Yeah.
Where'd you go exactly? There's a salon called Digital Serenity that Fixer immediately cuts me off with a derisive little grunt. Should have guessed as much. You trash tourists are all the same. I brace myself for the next question as Fixer takes another drink of Budweiser, then leans back.
Okay, I think we're done here.
Okay, can I be fucking honest? The Fixer is like one of those typically man children that when a girl goes, oh, you like football or soccer or, you know, any sport. Oh, I actually like this sport. And we're like, oh yeah, name all the players in the team. And it's just kind of like, Wow. As if like they need you to prove your hobbies, you know? As if you need to prove your worth as a fan of something, whether whether it's sports related, music related, IT related, like anything. And it's so like it's such a fucking turn off. It's so annoying, and quite honestly, it just makes me not want to continue the conversation at all. It's kind of like, oh, I play games. Oh yeah, what types of games? And it's just like, it, you know, for fuck's sakes, like there's so many genres. There's millions of games out there. Why? Like, I don't need your motherfucking validation, douchebag. You know? So that is the fucking vibe I get from Fixer. Okay, I think we're done here. What do you mean? What do you mean, what do you think I mean? I'm not really feeling it. Hell. Well, maybe if we got another round of drinks. No thanks, I've heard everything I need to. Bye now. I guess that's that. In a way, I'm relieved it's over. I can't say I've had worse days, but not by much. Screw it, may as well hit the bar again. I returned to the bar one last time. Well, maybe crawl is the more accurate word. After everything that's happened in the evening, the only thing I want is another strong cocktail from Jack and the first available cab back to my hotel. Jack's not his usual spot, or anywhere else for that matter. Crap, I guess the shift must have ended. The dance floor is almost empty at this point, and the few people still lingering in the booth look about set to pack it in too. So much for my big night out. I'm about to head for the exit when I suddenly spot Jack coming out of one of the employee-only doors. He's chucked He's chucked the strange orange uniform from earlier for a vintage get-up, and all I can say is, yow. Between the form-fitting pants and the fancy waistcoat, he could easily be a cover model for those cheap airport bookstore quality romance novels I totally don't have 3 shelves of.
Heading out for the night?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm just going to go back to my hotel and sleep things off.
I take it your evening didn't exactly go as planned.
Not really, no.
Sorry to hear it.
I shrug, trying my best to look composed about it. It's fine, really. Everybody has a bad night every once in a while. He smiles, not the practiced customer-friendly smile he's been giving Icebox patrons all evening, but something warm and real.
In that case, why don't you join me for dinner? I know just the place.
I think, the first time I played this, I went, so actually I'm going this. I've had enough bad nights for one night.
Are you sure?
I can at least treat you to a little something. I sigh. You seem like a nice guy, you really do. But with the way it's been going tonight, we'll be halfway through appetizers before I find out you're, I don't know, part of the mafia or something.
Well...
If you're sure. Yeah, I think I am. Okay, in that case, I'll go ahead and call you a cab. Somebody should be around to pick you up in 10 minutes or so. Thanks, have a good night, Jack. It's been real.
Thanks.
Thanks, Shane. Come back anytime. I'll have a drink ready and waiting. As the door closes behind me, I can hear the lock click. A few seconds later, the house lights dim and the thumping music finally comes to a halt. The Icebox parking lot is empty now. Everybody's gone home, or to wherever it is people go to have a good time after hours around here. I lean against the wall, try my best to ignore the pile of discarded cigarette butts underfoot. Man, I don't know if I'd call this the worst night out I've ever had. Certainly not after the time our graduation party accidentally set the local tequila bar on fire. And if the goal of this whole trip was to get me out of my comfort zone, well, mission accomplished and then some. At least I'll be bringing home some good stories. That and a couple of those. I went to Unilsk and all I got was the Sentry shirts I spotted in the duty-free shop at the airport. In the distance, I can see a pair of headlights approaching. Looks like my cab's here. Guess it's time to pack it in and get some shut-eye. Today's my last full day in Sardinia. I think back to the night before, and what a weird night it was. In the end, I gave up and went back to my hotel to sleep it off. But today's a new day, and despite it all, I've managed to get close with some of the people I've talked to. I'd like to go back home without saying goodbye. My time here is limited. I should think carefully about who I want to spend it with. I think, I really like Shit Parade, but I'm really into Dan now, which is something that I wasn't before. Dan immediately comes to mind. The troubled blonde from yesterday who almost sabotaged our date but then offered to show me the city. Even after all that, I'm still fascinated by him, so against my better judgment, I decide to take him up on the offer. I look over the map, now filled with his notes, and find his phone number in the corner. After gathering up some courage, I hit the call button. Sorry about that. Beep, beep, beep. He doesn't answer. I just hope he's busy with work and not breaking his sobriety streak yet again. A few more moments pass. I sigh and lower the phone. Just as I'm about to give up, the phone starts to ring. I breathe a sigh of relief.
Hey.
Hello, Shane? Is that you? Hey, yeah. Hey, Dan. How are you? I was just wrapping up my last delivery for the day. Sorry about the wait. How was last night for you? Oh, good. Thanks. A little hungover, but that's to be expected. So, I was wondering if you're still up for showing me around? You actually want to go sightseeing with me? He sounds a little surprised, even though it was his idea. I guess he didn't think I'll take him up on it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sure. Anywhere in particular? Maybe the Contemporary Art Museum. It's not far from my hotel. Good pick. I remember they had some great op art stuff on display back in the day. Op art? Optical illusions, that kind of thing. Even if you're not an art nerd, it can be pretty fun to look at. Nothing too weird or pretentious this time, I promise. I hear a light chuckle on the other end of the line. I'm guessing he's referring to our encounter at the Abyss. I too can help but giggle over what I guess is our shared trauma now. Excited to see him again, I get myself ready and head to the gallery. And here we are. Except my map must be all wrong, because the building in front of me appears to be abandoned in a half-demolished state. Locals seem to be using this space to dump their garbage and old furniture. I look around searching for a signage and only find one that says, Rejuvenation of Sardinia Project, a parking lot in every neighborhood by 1995. How do you fail to finish a parking lot?
No. Again? You gotta be kidding me.
I hear a familiar voice approaching. It's Dan, looking exasperated.
First they flattened the National Gallery, and now this?
How would you not know? Good. Oh, I hate this fucking government. Sorry, you had to see it like this. My fault for not keeping up with the news, I guess. Looks pretty crestfallen. What kind of government bulldozes its own cultural heritage like that? Hey, no worries, I'll be fine. It seems like you were fond of this place. Yeah, I used to come here for art assignments back in school. Of course, you were the arty kid. All thanks to our art teacher. She always went the extra mile, dragging us out on field trips and whatnot. And she always took the time to help and encourage me. It must have been pretty good then. Maybe if my dad hadn't made me stop taking lessons. He thought it was all just a big waste of time and public funds. Oh, sorry to hear that. My parents made me drop singing lessons too. It hurt at the time, but now that I'm thinking back to how thin the walls in our house were. You're an adult now, though. You can do whatever you like, right? Just pick it back up. The curse of self-awareness. I'm too worried about rupturing people's eardrums nowadays. Same goes for you, though. Did you ever get back into art? I did, just not traditional way. Instead, I did a ton of acid, drilled a hole in my head, and started making VR trips. Wonder what your art teacher would have to say about that. God, let's hope she never finds out.
What do you think?
How about we go somewhere else? Maybe grab some food? This place isn't doing much for my appetite, but anything to leave this dump. Oh my god!
What?
Was that? I think it's coming from the ruins. We try and follow the sound, but the cat is nowhere to be seen. This time, the meowing and scratching noises are coming from directly above us. Sounds like it might be trapped under a piece of metal sheeting on the roof. How the hell are we gonna get it down from there? Should we call someone?
I don't know.
I don't know anyone who would actually send someone to rescue a cat, except our local burger joint. He looks at the building up and down, trying to find the best way to climb it. It's not that high. I'll just climb up there and get it down myself. Before I can say anything, he starts climbing the rubble. Normally I'd be impressed, but seeing Dan, a frail figure fueled by a diet of coffee and cigarettes, attempting to climb a very unsteady mountain of debris just makes me anxious. Be careful! Do you do this sort of thing a lot? It's no big deal. I don't know how things are in the US, but over here, kids play on construction sites all the time. Pretty sure I've still got the muscle memory. Ugh. I'm fine. He almost slipped. I frantically look around for anything soft for him to land on. Luckily, there's an old grimy mattress lying around. Not something you'd want to touch with a 6-foot pole, but he beats landing on a bunch of concrete rubble. I drag it as close to Dan as possible, which is no easy feat. At least we're both getting a workout. You really don't have to do that, you know. I've got this. I've seen you climb, Dan. I absolutely do. Meanwhile, he's reached the top and is currently trying to loosen the metal sheet. Meow. Almost there. Just hold on a bit longer, okay? The metal sheet finally budges and then makes enough of a gap for the animal to crawl through. Here, kitty, come on out. How's he looking up there? It's out, but it's all skin and bones. Ow! He swears so elaborately that my translation implant can't keep up. And teeth, apparently. He starts to work his way down, holding the wriggling cat in one hand and climbing with the other. Just as he's about to jump off, one of his makeshift footholds gives out and then loses his balance. All I can do is watch in horror. He did not stick the landing, if anything. He deliberately kept his arm tucked in to shield the kitty from the fall. It wasn't dangerously high, but... Dan! Oh god, are you okay? He's completely still. I rushed towards him, hoping he hasn't snapped his spine in half.
I'm fine, just...
Don't make any sudden movements.
Hurry.
Oh, sorry. I kept breathing at the same time as him. I'm so sorry. Huh?
Look, it's terrified.
Aww. Oh my goodness. He rolls over, and I can see that he's still cradling a tiny orange cat in his hands. Okay, but the cat looks demonic, though. Poor thing must have been stuck in there for days. I'm glad both of them are okay, though. Poor baby. He looks famished. We should get him something to eat. Let me just... Ugh. He groans as he tries to lift himself up from the mattress. I held him up. Thankfully, Dan appears to have gotten away with some minor bruises. Sorry for being so reckless. I don't think I thought this one through. It's a common occurrence.
Thanks.
For cushioning my fall. Don't mention it. I'm just glad you're not dead. He looks down at the cat, who seems to have calmed down in his arms, and gives him a light head scritch. I wonder if it's injured. I half expected it to bite me again and run away. We should probably take it to the vet just in case, and maybe do something for that bite of yours. I look at his bloodied hand and idly wonder if he's had his rabies shots. I think I know someone who could help. Dan reluctantly hands me the cat and looks something up on his phone. Sandman? Yeah, it's Dan. No, I'm fine, really. Look, this isn't about me, okay? He lets out an exasperated sigh. Just tell me where I can find a decent vet around here. No, I'm not trying to score some ketamine. What? Come on, that was a one-time thing. Poor Dan. It looks like his reputation precedes him. A few moments later, he hangs up. Alright, I know where to go now. I know it's not the fun outing you'd hope for, but do you mind helping me get it to the vet? Of course, I'm more than happy to help. Thanks, Garshane. Dinner's on me. Taking cats to the vet is never a pleasant experience, but this little guy was so weak he barely had the energy to protest. I tried my best to keep him calm and get him to drink a little water. The vet didn't find any injuries, but as the cat, a boy, as most orange cats are, was so weak, we left him at the clinic overnight and headed back into town. But then, I was the one feeling famished, so we stopped at the Crow Burger for my last dinner in Stradania. The evening was surprisingly warm for this time of year, so we sat on a bench outdoors to drink fake American soda and eat our unspecified meat burgers under the stars. Even this place can be oddly beautiful when you find just the right spot. I think the cat took a liking to you. You think? Maybe it was just too weak to keep biting me. Well, you certainly took a liking to him. I guess I did. I have a bit of a soft spot for cats. You look just like the kitten I brought home as a kid. My dad was furious when he found out. Was he more of a dog person? Oh, he liked dogs alright. Was had new tricks and could be ordered around anyway. The more I learn about his dad, the less I like him. How about you, Garshane? Are you a cat or a dog person? I like all animals. I mean, except spiders. And cockroaches and things like that. I'm pretty sure people that are, people that watch my videos know that I have a cannery. But when I was a kid, I had cats, other canneries,
A turtle and fish.
not all at the same time, mind you. Oh, sorry. I like all animals. Makes sense. I don't get people that say they hate one or the other. Humans are way worse anyway. Yes, they are. In any case, looks like this is your sign to finally get a pet. Maybe you could give him a home. He lights a cigarette. A sure sign he's about to get real with me.
Seriously?
Have you seen me? I can barely look after myself. I've got a lot of work to do before I'm ready for pets. That and my housemates would want a word or two if I brought an animal back. I'll have to check in on him tomorrow and see if I can find him a home. A good one. Still, it felt good to be able to take care of someone, even if it was just a cat. Usually I'm the one that fucks everything up and needs help. I don't want to be this person anymore. You don't have to be, Dan. I don't know you that well, but I'd say your heart is in the right place. You're just going through some hard times. Have you thought about, I don't know, getting a therapist? You're the second person to tell me that. Who was the first? My ex? I'd rather not get into it or we'll be here all night. Okay. I guess what I'm saying is you shouldn't have to do this alone. It's fine to ask for help. Maybe next time you're having a hard time, you can talk to me first. Deal? You say that, but aren't you leaving tomorrow? Damn it, he's right. I could add you on AIM or ISU if you like. I guess an online friend doesn't sound too bad. You can tell me all about your travels and miserable hookups. I'll send you my harsh noise, MP3s, and 3am depressive rants. You'll be great for our mental health. Hey now, they're not all miserable. I can have good taste. Sometimes.
I don't know.
You sure about that? You had all of today to find a better date and you still chose to spend it with me. Hanging around construction sites, looking after a mangy stray, and eating whatever it is we're eating. Mangy stray, don't be so hard on yourself. Hey, I don't think any of this has been miserable though. I genuinely enjoyed spending time with you. Make fun of me all you want. I had fun with you too, Cata. Doesn't happen too often these days. So yeah, thanks for indulging me. And to think you were so terrified of me when we met. To be fair, you did come on very strong. I'm still baffled as to why a tourist would hit up the saddest guy in the club. I thought you maybe lost a bet or needed a cringy story for your blog or something. Harsh, but I guess I can see how he could have come across that way.
Sorry.
That came out wrong. I'm glad you came up to talk. I just wish I wasn't in such a lousy date last night. Hey, all good. I honestly wasn't in the best place myself. I felt so lonely and directionless. Oh my lord, I can't read. I felt so bad and directionless in life. I thought finding someone in the same boat would make us both feel better, you know? You weren't entirely wrong. It's nice to be with someone who gets me. Sometimes I just want to have days where I can be sad in peace, you know? Instead of always feeling like I'm not good enough. Maybe being single isn't so bad after all. I lift up my can of Pepsi. Here's to being sad and single together. We clink our cans and laugh. What a classy dinner we're having. Hold on, you forgot to make eye contact. Wait, what? If you don't look people in the eye when you toast, they say he stumbles somewhat embarrassed. They say what? They say we'll suffer 7 years of bad sex. Is that some kind of local superstition? Well, yes, but do you really want to take a chance on this? Can't argue with that logic.
Let's try this again.
Alright, you're 7 years of good sex then. Done the rest of my drink, my eyes locked with Dan's the whole time.
It's not supposed to be a staring contest either, you know.
Neither of us look away.
Fine. You win.
He averts his gaze.
I got lost in your eyes there for a minute.
My heart skips a beat as I forget how basic flirting works. I just wanted to be sure we broke the bad sex curse. Great job, me. Way to ruin the moment.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Oh! I catch a glimpse of mischief in his icy blue eyes. Where did I come from? Give him a disapproving glare, but my burning cheeks give me away.
What?
We were pretty,
You were
that's...
pretty dead set on hooking up with me last night.
Yeah, that was before you did everything in your power to discourage me. Dan cautiously draws closer.
Well, what if I kind of regret discouraging you now? What if I kissed you? Would you hate it?
I lean in, our faces almost touching. Yeah, definitely. Sounds like the worst thing I've... His lips meet mine before I can finish. I kiss him back as I feel his hands gently tracing down my back and around my waist. If not for the familiar cigarette smell, I wouldn't even be sure this was the same man I met last night.
I'm not as good as a mind reader as I was in my VR days. But I'm pretty sure you didn't hate that.
I shake... Oh my god, I'm sorry. I shake my head, trying to hide my enthusiasm and failing. And you?
No, I didn't hate it either. I just need to try it again now. To be sure.
We kiss for a while, teasing each other more and more until the passing cars start to honk at us and remember we are, in fact, out on the street. Now would be a good time to take this somewhere oozier. I'll mull things over for a second. He's sober, less mopey, and he seems to be actually into me this time, so what's the harm? Would it be weird if I invited you over again? He pulls me onto his lap and covers my neck and kisses until my knees go weak. Does that answer your question? I try to regain my composure. I think so.
Sounds good.
And let's go before one of us comes to their senses. He smiles and takes my hand. Judging by how that makes me feel, I won't be coming to my senses for a while. We arrive at the hotel and I pull Dan back towards the elevator. Second time's the charm, right? Oh no! Suddenly, the elevator makes a near-piercing screech and comes to a halt. I don't think it's supposed to do that. I stare at the doors, waiting for them to open, but they remain stubbornly shut. I bang on the doors, nothing happens. The metal box we're trapped in starts to feel unbearably suffocating. Yep, we're stuck. The lights flicker and my heart begins to pound as a wave of dizziness hits me. Are you okay? I should be fine, right? It's only a stuck elevator. Sure, I'm not a fan of small spaces, but I really need to get out of here. Need to save my breath. Can't waste oxygen. But Shane, hey, stay with me. Dan watches me with concern. It's gonna be okay. Look, I'll call the reception, alright? He dials the service number and says something into his phone in Russian, but my implant doesn't pick up on the words. Just breathe, okay? Slowly, like this. He takes a deep breath. I try to mirror him. Feeling the tightness in my chest starts to ease. Still, how embarrassing losing it like this. Really, Dan doesn't seem scared or annoyed. It'll pass. Trust me. They're sending someone down now. It's a fancy hotel full of foreigners. They're gonna sort it before you know it. Dan reassures me over and over, trying to keep my mind off the cramped space. He offers his hand and I squeeze it, focusing on the sensation. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. A few moments pass before the elevator jolts with a metallic clanging sound, then Alicia lurches into motion. The doors slide open and we're finally free. See? That wasn't so bad. Made it out alive and everything. He helps me up and I stumble out of the elevator in a daze. We're greeted by a technician and a frazzled floor manager at the other hand, offering freebies and room upgrades, but I can't summon the energy to deal with them. When we get back to the room, Dan cracks open a window. Then lights a cigarette, taking a long, steady drag. Jesus, I needed this. I noticed his hand trembling slightly. He played it so calm earlier, but he's clearly shaken too. Pretty sure it's a non-smoking room, but after everything that went down, I'm not about to get on his case. Can I have one? He hands me his pack. The half-crumpled package is entirely black, except for a single word in white. Ennui. Have as many as you like. I take a drag and instantly regret it as it sends me into a coughing fit. Man, I'm a terrible influence. You really are. I'm starting to feel a little better, though. He pulls me close and we stay like this for a while, watching the dim lights of the Soviet blocks in the distance. Did you get them a lot? Panic attacks, I mean? I haven't had one in years, but, well, there was this one time when I got stuck alone in an elevator as a kid. Terrifying, even if I was barely old enough to remember it. I thought I was over it. Sorry I freaked you out. Hey, no need to apologize. I've got my own weird fears too. Like what? I don't know, like swimming in open water for one. Open water? Yeah, seas, oceans, even lakes. Makes no sense, right? Wonder if his weird VR bitch trip has something to do with this. Brains are the worst. I finish my cigarette, then lean in, resting my head on Dan's shoulder. This may sound selfish, but I'm glad I didn't have to go through this alone. You and me both. Are you still up for staying the night? Yeah, what about you? Are you sure you're okay? Yeah, I can fix him! Yeah, man, let's do it. I pull Dan into a kiss, catching him off guard, and he lets out a soft gasp as my hands drift down his body. Shane doesn't hesitate, sliding his hands under my shirt before pulling it off of me. The rest of our clothes follow until there's nothing but skin between us. Aww. I push Dan onto the bed, get on top, and take a good look at him. Without the weathered leather jacket and cigarette, it looks so wholesome. I expect at least a couple more edgy tattoos. You know, that 7 years of good sex toast of yours is a lot of pressure for a guy. Oh, and would you say you function well under pressure? Press my hips against his as I lean closer, triggering another shaky exhale. This is fun. It's very hard to function while you do this. You're so sensitive. Look, it's been a while for me, okay? He gently lowers me onto the bed beside him. So let's take it slow, alright? I wasted no time in showing him exactly how I like it, with plenty of praise and reassurance, of course. He seemed to enjoy me taking charge. I might have even discovered a new side of me I didn't know about. Afterwards, we grabbed coffees from the hotel lobby, cuddled up in bed, and watched a bit of local TV. Dan had a snarky comment prepared for every ridiculous bit of news they showed. But all good things must come to an end. As soon as the sun was up, we had to say our goodbyes. It was bittersweet, but I was too busy scrambling to get to the airport on time to be sad. We emailed each other for a little while, trying to make the online friend thing work. Dan did end up adopting the cat we saved. We got regular updates about his well-being, along with a regular supply of cat photos. Stopped hearing from him not long after that. He got a new job and life got busy for both of us. Guess it's just how these adult friendships go sometimes. Wherever he is now, I hope him and the kitty are doing well. Hey! Alright guys, and that is Dates and Wires Augmented Edition. It's a lot more enjoyable experience compared to the version that I previously played, that I got on itch.io, and I'm very, very glad that, I'm very thankful, grateful that the devs sent me a Steam key. And again, I was not asked to make a video. I was not asked anything really. I wasn't offered money. I'm not getting anything out of this, but they were very kind enough to supply me with a Steam key. And I decided to, okay, you know what? They improved the game. I was told that, you know, there was voice acting included, a few more scenarios. And honestly, I think that this Augmented Edition is a lot more enjoyable than the OG
That I'm so sorry.
that, oh my god, I'm sorry, that I played. And yeah, this is available on Steam. I went about in a way similar to the way that I played previously, although this time I stuck to Dan, and I'm very glad that I did so, because yeah, I think he's my favorite character. Although I also like Shit Parade a lot. I think that if you
Go through the guys. I'm so sorry.
I think that, oh my lord, I think that if you go through the guys in a different order, you may be able to unlock new lines of dialogue or other ways to go about things. So there is replayability value here, I believe. Like you can get all these souvenirs unlocked. I don't know what this is. Like, this is a thing that Dan wrote for us. The can of beer. Right, this is no cool. The ID that he that Shit Parade showed to what's it called?
Like to the VR store or whatever it was.
Oh, sorry so much for yawning. So yeah, guys. I think it's a lot more enjoyable experience. And in case the devs are watching this, thank you so much for sending me the key. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate the effort you put into making the game more enjoyable. I'm not a fan of visual novels, but this, not a bad experience at all. Like, I enjoyed it. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.